Nakayoshi World is a 1994 game released exclusively in Japan for the Super Famicom, otherwise known as the SNES. I remember hearing about this game on Sailormoon fan sites back when those were a thing in the 90s and early 2000s, and being the huge Sailormoon fan I was as a kid, I immediately found a way to play it. By legal means only, of course, because I have never broken the law in my life. Anyways, for those of you who don't know, Nakayoshi is the magazine that the Sailormoon manga was originally serialized in. I'm sure most anime fans have heard of Shonen Jump. Well, in my opinion, Nakayoshi is basically the shoujo version of Shonen Jump. Aside from Sailor Moon, other popular shoujo manga like Cardcaptor Sakura have been serialized in it as well. Panic in Nakayoshi World features the 4 most popular characters in Nakayoshi magazine at the time of the game being released. Sailor Moon, Kurumi from Kurumi and the Seven Dwarfs, Nagisa from I'll Make a Habit of It, and Chitose from Goldfish Warning. I think Sailor Moon needs no introduction, and she's the only character from this era of Nakayoshi that seems to have maintained any cultural relevance. The others are not nearly as well known. The only character besides Sailor Moon that I vaguely recognize is Nagisa. I do remember I'll Make a Habit of It being a relatively popular anime during the 90s, even though it never got an official licensed release in English, but I believe there were fan subs of it being shared on VHS back in the day. Goldfish Warning I'm not that familiar with, but it was also made into an anime, and there are fan subs of it online. Kurumi and the Seven Dwarfs seems to be the most obscure manga from this era. I have no idea who this character is, and I could find almost nothing about this manga online. It's never been translated into English, even by a scanlation group, and it was never made into an anime either. So, unless you managed to get your hands on an original Japanese printing of the manga, it seems Kurumi and the Seven Dwarfs has been lost to time. It has beautiful artwork though. So, the premise of Panic in Nakayoshi World is reminiscent of Sega Heroes or Heroes of the Storm, or one of those games where all of the characters from different universes get sucked out of their universe and into a central universe, in this case, Nakayoshi World. At the beginning of the game, we get introduced to the Princess of Nakayoshi World, who sends us on our way fighting monsters and working our way through the various stages. In terms of gameplay, from what I understand, it's a clone of an NES game called Battle City, except repainted, cute, and pastel themed. In the game, which can be played with 1 or 2 players, you have to escort a character across the map without either of you getting killed by one of the enemies. Once you destroy enough enemies, a door to the next level appears. Fuck all of you. But you can also opt to not take that door and just keep killing all the enemies until they're gone. There are a few different types of blocks to break down, and sometimes they can give you power-ups and extra lives. Each stage has 5 acts, and at the end of the last act is a bonus round, which then gives way to a boss round. It took me about 45 minutes to beat on stream, and I was playing very badly. No, don't get hit. Oh my god! Even still, I find it fun and satisfying to play to this day. One thing I do think is cool is that all of the images and animations of Sailor Moon are based on the manga. I feel like this is one of the rare instances in which we actually see the manga artwork represented outside of the manga, since the style of the anime does not imitate the manga at all. Nowadays, there's also an English fan translation out there if you're willing to look for it. I spent hours and hours playing this game growing up, and playing it now fills me with a pleasant, nostalgic feeling. The music is really good, and visually it hits the spot for me. I think anyone who enjoys the aesthetic of Sailor Moon will probably find this game visually appealing. I think it's still worth playing, especially if you're a Sailor Moon fan, a fan of shoujo manga in general, or if you just like these puzzle-type games. Anyways, the days of combing through Sailor Moon fan sites on Tripod and GeoCities may be gone, but we can still share bits of Sailor Moon history and lore that once belonged to those pages here on YouTube. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little tiny piece of Sailor Moon history. I'm Adorpheus, and you can find me on Twitch streaming several days a week at twitch.tv/Adorpheus, and I also make content for TikTok. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.